want a serious crisis to go to waste.
I could have got 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them. Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in. I would have done it.
I have two words for you. Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues. Here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen.
And welcome to On Target Radio. I'm David Lombardo.
I'm Gretchen Fritz. Tonight, David and I will be talking with attorney Ed Gronkowski, who will be calling in from the wilds of northern Wisconsin. Ed will be weighing in on the 7th U.S. Circuit Court Appeals upholding the Highland Park assault weapon ban because it makes people feel good. We'll also be talking about the Supreme Court ruling it's okay if cops violate your Fourth Amendment rights because they didn't know the law. The FBI acknowledging they've been giving flawed testimony for decades, and Obama is going after your religious school's nonprofit status.
So be sure to give us a call at 312-642-5600 or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question there. If a ban on semi-automatic guns and large-capacity magazines reduces the perceived risk from a mass shooting and makes the public feel safer as a result, that's a substantial benefit, unquote. Judge Frank Easterbrook penned those majority opinion words when the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled earlier this week that the Highland Park assault weapon ban is constitutional. The village of Highland Park didn't have an assault weapons ban until the 7th Circuit Court struck down Illinois' concealed carry ban. As a result, there was a handgun preemption aspect to the subsequent legislation that struck down all handgun laws in Illinois other than those enacted by the state of Illinois itself. Unfortunately, the legislation also gave a brief grace period after enactment during which communities could implement an assault weapon ban. Highland Park was one of a handful of communities that did. Being somewhat close to the case, I anticipated there would be a negative ruling from the beginning. It is, after all, the 7th. And despite striking down Illinois' no concealed carry policy, the 7th is not known for being pro-Second Amendment. However, in Freeman versus Highland Park, the decision was not unanimous. While Judge Easterbrook and Judge Ann Claire Williams constituted a majority, Judge Daniel Mannion was loud and clear about his dissent. To limit self-defense to only those methods acceptable to the government creates an enormous transfer of authority from the citizens of this country to the government, a result directly contrary to our Constitution and to our political tradition, Mannion wrote, focusing on the canard that the majority dismissed the constitutional challenge because other firearms, including handguns, are not illegal in Highland Park. The battle may have been lost, but the war is not over, and the case shall move forward. It's not the fact that we lost in the 7th that bothers me. It's how we lost. Listen to Judge Easterbrook's words closely. If a ban on semi-automatic guns and large-capacity magazines reduces the perceived risk from a mass shooting and makes the public feel safer as a result, that's a substantial benefit. In the early 1960s, Marshall McLuhan, a Canadian communications theorist, penned, "The medium is the message." He noted people tend to focus on the obvious and as a result often miss the subtle aspects going on in the background that will have a more far-reaching effect than expected. The ruling in Freeman versus Highland Park is feel-good politics at its worst. And while it may make some fraction of the population happy, it nonetheless trumps both fact and the right of John Q to protect himself against tyranny. According to the majority members, what one feels, and not the facts, is justification for subverting the Constitution. It is common knowledge that the legislature makes feel-good laws, but the judiciary should be the arbiter of truth that provides the checks and balances envisioned by the Founding Fathers. If this ruling is allowed to stand, it will assuredly have a chilling effect on the future of this country. Judicial rulings based upon what makes some fringe group happy. There is always wiggle room for liberals and conservatives alike to shape a ruling while adhering to the facts of the case. If those facts may be substituted for emotion, we are doomed as a rational civilization. That, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
He also says the court is not empowered to uphold a regulation as constitutional based solely on its ability to divine public sentiments about the matter.
This really disturbs me. It really does. We got Ed Ronkowski on the line, and he's up. I think he was. What was he doing today? I don't know.
You said trout. Trout's
Oh, he was trout fishing. How was trout fishing, Ed? Well, there you go. So it must have been okay. So Freeman versus Highland Park. Can you even believe that? I would assume, I don't know this, but I would assume they're probably going to ask for an en banc, don't you think? Just Yeah, just so that in case people don't understand what that refers to, this case was heard by 3 justices. So asking for en banc would be to ask for the entire slate of, which is what in the seven? Yeah. So but en banc would be I think 7, wouldn't it? Oh, really? All however many there are. Oh, okay. Okay, you're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. We're talking about the decision that in Freeman versus Highland Park, an assault weapon ban is constitutional. And we're talking with Ed Ronkowski, who, in between catching trout in his cabin in northern Wisconsin, is talking to us about this. The next logical step then is the U.S. Supreme Court, yes? And here's the thing. Clearly, there's no way that you can look at this decision and say that it's based in any law at all, is there? I'm just, thinking outside the box here, but I'm thinking if it goes to the United States Supreme Court, they will look at it, and maybe I'm being optimistic, but they will look at it with a clear head and they will go, there's no merit to this. Because here's the thing, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but it seems to me that if this isn't overturned, does it not, you have precedent basically in court that feel good can trump the Constitution. In Illinois. Yeah, it makes it good enough. What's coming up is Wilson versus Cook County, which is fundamentally the same case. They would end up quoting it, would they not? All right, well, Ed, I appreciate you calling in, and go catch another trout and bring it home for us. Thank you very much, Ed, and have a good time up there. All right, we're going to have to take a break. When we come back, with just this whole legal thing is getting to me. We're going to talk a little bit when we come back about the Supreme Court decision for cops can violate your Fourth Amendment right if they don't know the law. All that and more on Target Radio when we return. And you're listening to AM560, The Answer. One down.
From here
Cool.
to there, you've got the answer from
Cool.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Traffic sign.
Okay.
Eyeballs
Really
over
fun.
us with a look at the road.
All right. I come back with a live read unless you want to do it.
Nope.
How did I know that? Are you tired of doing the Indian food live read?
I am.
That's what I got. I gathered that.
We should probably just like rewrite it, or you should rewrite it. Let me not use the royal we. You should rewrite it.
The royal we, perhaps? No, that wouldn't be actually. Okay, then we're going to talk about the Fourth Amendment thing.
Yeah.
That's a real joke. All this stuff is happening at once. Bizarre.
I didn't say it in the pre-show, but I don't know how this struck you with the Fourth Amendment thing, but what it struck me is, okay, now they're going to give police classes of how
not to know.
to pretend
Yeah.
that they didn't know,
Yeah.
so that they can skate on.
Yeah.
Illegal searches.
Oh, squirt guns, not illegal weapon?
Yeah.
I thought it was. I shouldn't have shot him then,
A
huh?
pregnant woman's not probable cause
Exactly.
of anything?
I'm telling you, this stuff. Was your mic button on? No, it wasn't?
Yeah, with people like that, he usually keeps them
I
off.
don't even have him potted up unless you go to him.
I'm going to say hi to him.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Anybody at home listening?
Are you gonna allow him to say hi back?
No, nobody knows you're here?
I can shoot my. Oh, people know I'm here, but I don't know that they're listening right now. Well, it's finals week this week.
And so what? Don't people have priorities?
I remember like 15 years ago when that meant something to me.
Yeah, that's my reality.
It meant something to me like 40 years ago.
But it wasn't, it was only like 25 years ago that you were a professor, wasn't it?
No, when I was a student.
I know, I'm saying.
Oh, I was
When you were a professor, that some meant something. to
basically
you.
the decade of, well, early 80s I was a professor. Yeah, early 80s I was a professor, and then for a while I when the hell did I do that? I can't even remember now. Early 80s. Then I went to work for Rudy Frasca. Right. And then in the late 80s I went to work in Bowling Green State. And then in the early 90s I was at Lewis. And that was it. I didn't care about exams then. I just wrote them. I didn't have to worry about taking them.
To all business owners, so you can incorporate in just 10 minutes. Call 1-800-644-5587.
25.
20 seconds. We didn't get the full 30-second warning.
Nobody's
LLC quick.
Okay, fine, 30 seconds. Just wait 15 seconds before you start.
Run your business without being incorporated.
Okay.
Call now for your free guide. 1-800-644-5587. 1-800-644-5587. 1-800-644-5587. You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. If you love great Indian cuisine like we do, then you must experience Gaylord Fine Indian Cuisine in Schaumburg. Gaylord is so good, Gretchen and I eat there before the show for over 35 years. I think that's 38 years, 18 in Schaumburg. Gaylord has served an extensive menu of fine Indian cuisine. Signature dishes include tandoori, jinga jumbo prawns, chicken tikka masala, or the tangy and hot South Indian specialty lamb vindaloo. All dishes are prepared using only quality fresh ingredients, including the elaborate $12.95 lunch buffet that's cooked that morning. Manager Darren Dabrio invites you to come early when they open at 11:30 weekdays and noon on weekends to see the freshness for yourself. I recommend that you skip breakfast and save your appetite. Gaylord can accommodate business meetings or events for up to 60 people. Gaylord Fine Indian Cuisine is on Ball Drive just south of Woodfield Mall. Call 847-619-3300 or visit gaylordil.com. Gaylord Fine Indian Cuisine is the Mercedes of fine Indian dining. 847-619-3300. And I want to say, speaking of Indian cuisine, this would be a very rough segue. Speaking of Indian cuisine, we want to say to a person who has no connection to Indian cuisine at all, Brian Schmolt is our new intern. Welcome to our show.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. Well, that was it. That was Brian's voice. We expect big things from him, do we not?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'm hoping
I
big
have high
things.
hopes.
Big things, yeah. And not only will he be helping us out on the radio show, he will be helping us out at Safer USA.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool.
Looking forward to that too.
Yeah, and Rick is gone. Social media guy is gone tonight. I think social mediating somewhere.
He's on vacation.
He's on vacation, and I'm sure he's listening because
Must be nice.
he wants to find out if we mess up. So
Mhm.
hi, Rick. Anyway, so here's the thing. Give us a call 312-642-5600. This is the week for weird court findings.
Yeah, Supreme
You know?
Court decisions. Yeah.
Basically, the United States Supreme Court in Highland versus State of North Carolina determined, and this is an 8-1 rule, determined that police officers are permitted to violate American citizens' Fourth Amendment rights if the if the violation results in quotes, now this is the actual word, from a reasonable mistake about the law on the part of the police.
Yeah.
Did you,
Last time I checked, it was the police's job to know the law.
let me think, is that true? Yes. So when you were a state cop,
Mhm.
did you ever like pull people over and go, I don't actually know if this is the law or not, but we're going to pull you over?
No, we had the book in the car, and if you weren't sure how to write the ticket, if you weren't sure what the law was, you looked it
You
up.
looked it up, exactly. One of the most interesting things about this is what a bad excuse that would be, because now they can plug you right into the state's attorney, literally on your radio. You can go right to, there's an
Right.
on-call
Sure.
assistant state's attorney. You can ask them whatever you want.
Sure.
So the deal with the case was the cop pulled over a vehicle because one taillight was out.
Mhm.
The cop did not know that in North Carolina, you only have to have one taillight. So the stop
Was unlawful.
was an unlawful stop to begin with. I'm not sure I like the term unlawful simply because he didn't intentionally do it. It was ignorance, but it was an unlawful stop.
Right, when you go to the next step of then evidence was found, now it really does become unlawful because
Right, because when he asked the guy after the conclusion of the business, then he said, "Do you mind if I search your car?" And of course, like most criminals, they're stupid as bricks. And the guy goes, "Okay."
Yeah.
And he finds coke.
okay, we're not lawyers, so we can offer legal advice, which is if a police officer asks if they can search your vehicle, the correct answer is no.
Yeah.
Say no.
Let me-
If they are asking, it's because they don't have probable cause.
Yeah, it's and you know what? They always do.
I tell our students in concealed carry this all the time, but the correct answer is no.
There is no. I do say, be polite. First of all,
Of
the
course.
guy's trying to do a job.
There's nothing
Be
impolite
polite.
about saying no.
So I tell people, I say, I'd love to do that. I really would. It'd be just great. But I'm a little bit
Just
late for a meeting. But next time, yeah.
Well, I explain to our students that a lot of police officers, they get in the habit of doing certain things on like most of their traffic
routine.
stops because it's had good results for them.
Sure.
If they've asked for searches in the past and they've come up with these drug
Right.
busts, then they get an attaboy or they get a promotion or they get a plaque to put on their wall, and they go, oh, I'm going to keep doing that because they're not exactly all the sharpest knives in the drawer.
No, but the truth is, you don't get rewarded for being a slugger. You don't get rewarded for laying back. I mean, people who go out and produce,
Oh, right, they like
they're
that.
rewarded for it.
They
And
like that.
I'm not sure that that's unfair. I was never comfortable with the ticket quota concept that some departments used to have. I don't think anybody
It's
does that
illegal now,
anymore.
yeah.
It's illegal. I never liked that because you're actually putting pressure on them every day to,
Right.
but you should be, performance should count. Here's the thing about this that really drives me nuts. And, give us a call, 312-642-5600. The phones are not burning up tonight.
No.
We probably should have talked about the fight.
Nora's Facebook.
Yeah, Nora's Facebook. Yeah, great. So what are we going to do? We're really impressing the intern here. He's standing here going, what am I doing here? What's
He's
this
like,
for?
wow, we have no listeners. That's
we're
fantastic.
Up the creek with, this
I
is it.
roll.
Yeah, what's on WLS? Anyway, here's the point. The point is, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I am siding with Justice Sonia Sotomayor on this thing.
I highlighted the same thing you did.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe she was the lone dissenting justice.
And I agree with her.
And she said, this ruling is what I would call a one-way, non-refundable ticket to the police state.
Yeah, and she's
Correct.
dead on that. She's just dead on that. So it's just a problem. And if you take one thing, you go, okay, it is what it is. But you just start looking at this. How every week we talk about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Every week it's another thing. The president's done this. The attorney general's done that. This is like never ending.
It's really bad.
I just have a very hard time with this particular thing right here. If you or I, if we're pulled over and we say to the cop, I didn't know I couldn't make a U-turn here. He doesn't care.
Right, exactly.
Our
ignorance of the law is not going to count in our favor.
Exactly. People, you've heard this all your life. Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Right.
You heard all your whole life.
You're expected to know it.
And
we teach that when we teach Utah concealed carry. That's one of the things we're supposed to tell the students is it's
Right.
their responsibility to keep up on any changes in the Utah concealed carry law.
because saying I didn't know is not
not
it's not justification. And so, and the other thing I always heard as a cop, you're held to a higher standard.
Mhm.
You are the police. You are held to a higher standard.
Right.
You have to, they used to get us on all the time. You don't bust red lights just because you want to get somewhere quicker. You got,
Right.
you got to do the speed limit. People
Absolutely.
watching, blah blah blah. And now they're saying you can do this.
Yeah, don't roll through stop signs. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I just,
Exactly.
I find,
And what I said is, what I see happening is they will start to, like, once a police officer gets into this position and it's like going to court, they will coach them of how to, like, be convincing when they say, oh, I didn't know that wasn't the law.
yeah, exactly. Well,
They'll bring in a lawyer or an acting coach or something
Yeah.
to get them to be convincing when they say they didn't know.
take acting lessons.
Mhm.
7 Second City, like I went. Never let the
You could be an actor / police officer,
That's-
just like David Lombardo.
never let the truth get in the way of a good story. But we're going to have to take a break here in about a minute. But the other thing that couples up with this is that the Supreme Court ruled that cops don't need a search warrant to search your home. This is another sort of chilling thing. Now,
It's a
basically,
specific circumstance,
it
but
is.
it's pretty stupid,
It is.
nevertheless.
What it's you do have to get permission, but what it says is they rule that as long as two occupants disagree about allowing officers to enter, and the resident who refuses access is then arrested, in other words, he's no longer on the scene, then they can enter the residence. They don't need a warrant.
Mhm.
That makes me a little uncomfortable too.
A little?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me a lot uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that is a concern of the Supreme Court,
Yeah.
which is what worries me more than
Well,
anything.
we thought it was conservative, but they've made some pretty unconservative rulings lately.
All right, we're going to be back for On Target Radio. You'll see AM560 The Answer. And when we come back, we want to talk. Did you know that the FBI is giving bad testimony?
Kills thousands.
I'm telling you, that was down to the
You
second.
stumbled through that one.
That was down to the second.
You really
We'll be right
wasn't.
back here on Target Radio. Did you know
That's
that there's only 2 seconds left? Goodbye.
That's right. I
you
cut that
know
one
computers
literally
are-
down to the second. I looked down in the copy. I couldn't find the thing on the copy.
The thing is, that half-hour break, that's the one break the computer fires by itself, and I can't give you that extra.
No, I didn't. But I didn't
So
need it.
I'm glad you hit the post by like 0.3 of a second.
I made it. I made it, bro. You know I make it.
Not eloquently.
Well, let's not get bogged down in needless detail.
Vehicle pulled up in front of the event center. 2 men got out.
We having fun yet?
Yeah.
Towards the Northern Independent School District.
Frankly, I thought I was gonna be emptying like garbage cans and stuff.
Somebody else's job.
I didn't know what to expect.
Somebody
Yeah.
else's
Shouldn't
job.
trap him in there. He's gonna get bored.
Is it happening in place, George?
Let him in here. You can see how the whole thing is done, and I can demoralize him for the next half hour.
Maybe next week.
After the shooting, searching house
George always casts a pallor up.
He does want you to carry his bags and stuff, though. He said that before. He's always like, why don't we have somebody else to do this?
Yeah.
Officials say last weekend's earthquake
Yeah,
in
you know.
Nepal killed more than 7,200
There you go. We're talking about
people.
Nepal.
9 Americans are
Yeah.
missing. Fox News reports
It's a little rock with a handful of people on it. Come off the mountain.
How can you get from here to there? We've got
Blackhawks up 2-0.
Beautiful.
Traffic center.
Period.
We have a comment on Facebook if you want me to read it.
What is it? Is it dirty?
Of course not. That guy Larry, there's this guy that always instead of posting on our page, he sends us private messages on our
Oh, yeah.
page. It's so freaking annoying.
What did he say?
He says, "Hello, happy Sunday night. I'm listening religiously every Sunday."
That was it. I'm listening. And you want to put that on?
I'm putting it out there for you. If you want it, I'll read it. If you don't want it,
All he has to say is, I'm listening.
I'm gonna close it.
I will close it. There's no...
Dave, if you simply take approximately the same time in every show, take 10 seconds for her to read 2 meaningless Facebook comments, whatever they are, then it's as if you're just pulling them out of the bag. That's what it would seem like. It won't seem like it's only 2 comments you've had.
Oh, our social media guy commented.
That's
Is he
productive
online?
shit right there.
I can send out a couple texts to get some comments.
Yeah, you
I
probably
mean, my
should.
sister has a
I can do that too,
Facebook-
but we don't want that kind of nudity.
He said,
My
"Good
sister
show,
has a
watch
Twitter
it."
page with like 30,000
Watching.
followers.
You're watching, Rich. Hey, Rose.
Actually, the camera needs to be adjusted.
I went ahead and I signed into this guy Jeff Pincus used to have a show here, and I used to tweet on his Twitter from my phone when he was doing this weight loss thing. Well, I didn't realize it was 6 months
Brian
later.
waving the camera. That's Rick. Rick, that's Brian, our new intern.
He's taller than
He's
you.
also into social media, so you guys will get
Slightly
along.
better groomed. But anyway, Jeff, I was tweeting from Jeff stuff when he was doing the weight loss stuff.
Yeah.
So I
Do you
was
want me to
tweeting
move
these
it?
little pithy things, 3-4 times during the
Okay.
day. We'd go, sign on my phone. 6 months later, I hadn't signed into Twitter forever. 6 months later, I opened up Twitter. I'm still signed into Pincus, and he had 25,000 or whatever followers. He had all these health followers, and stuff. So I started tweeting off-color jokes, and he called me about 3 days later. You my tweet number?
What are you gonna do? We got a phone call coming in. Segment 3.
One of our main watchers is my mother, so trying to make it good for mom.
Okay.
She always complains, "I can't see you behind all the equipment." I'm like, "This is radio. I have to use the microphone. I'm sorry."
Well, Rick is going to experiment with a second camera. We should be able to do that.
But I still want it to be over there because I don't want to have to have her clothes on or anything.
Now we're getting picky.
In my opinion, a major reason for insomnia is the Blue Card. It's a shopping and loyalty card, and it's free.
just teasing.
That's right, free, no charge, nada. Next, you can receive up to 5% cash back on purchases. Most cards only offer 2% at most.
Okay.
No wonder girls can't sleep. With the Blue Card,
35
you know,
seconds.
shopping for points that you could use for online purchases. So it's cashback and shopping points. Am I
George is talking to somebody.
You refer the blue card to
Probably my
someone. You
mom.
can even earn money on
Is your mother
your
gonna call in?
purchases.
No, I hope not, because you guys will be like, oh, the intern's mom called in.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll put her on the air and like
You're
have
adapting
her, have her
well.
tell an embarrassing story or
Why
something.
are you going to get any sleep until you get your own free blue card? So call 800-685-7470 and order your free blue card so you can rest easy again. Call 800-685-7470.
Rick is having a conversation with you
You're listening to
on Facebook.
On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more on Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. The second and fourth callers, we've got 2 free tickets for each of you, May 8th, 9th, and 10th for the Concealed Carry Expo at Washington County Fair Park in West Bend, Wisconsin. So if you're the number 2 caller and the number 4, which is getting close to our limit of callers, you qualify for. George shakes his head. George, it is what it is. We got to call.
Just go with it, George.
I don't know. It works for me. What can I say? We got Eric on the line. Eric, how are you doing this evening? No, you're not. Oh, he is. He is. I can't. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
See,
call
there's
back.
George's creative answer. That's George's creative answer. Call back. You're one of our students. How long did it take to get it?
So about 6 weeks. That's really good.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, I appreciate the call. Did you have a question or? There you go. You got it, Eric. I appreciate the phone call, and when you give out legal advice, make sure we get a percentage of it. Thanks a lot. All right. Speaking of legal advice, the Department of Justice came out, and the FBI, this just astounds me. The FBI has formally acknowledged, they publicly acknowledged,
Finally admitted.
yep, that nearly every examiner in the FBI's laboratory's microscopic hair comparison unit gave flawed testimony in almost all trials in which they offered evidence against criminal defendants over more than a 2-decade period before the year 2000.
It says until 2012, they lacked written standards defining scientifically appropriate and erroneous ways to explain results in court. So they were pretty much just saying whatever they felt like.
They were winging it. Now, that's funny standing here in our moderately air-conditioned studio.
Well, I'm only laughing because it just sounds so preposterous that the FBI, people who work in the FBI crime lab, just go into court and say whatever they want. It's not funny, not at all.
It's not that I'm lambasting you for that, but here's the result, and this is the really interesting part. The cases that we're talking about, 32 defendants were sentenced to death. Of those, 14 were executed. or died in prison of some cause, who were basically put in prison under false. Now,
Well,
it does, well, okay, fair is
there's a
fair.
caveat.
It does say that, that's, many of them had other issues beside that.
Most
Yeah.
of them, that was not the only evidence they considered
Right.
when they made that guilty verdict. So there was probably a fair amount of evidence going that way anyway.
But the point is,
You
it's
have
the
people,
FBI.
I was gonna say, you have people from testifying from the FBI. That's considered expert.
I wouldn't put them in the same category as me anymore.
No, clearly
expert
not.
folk, yeah,
Clearly not.
because they didn't get mentioned in the finding with
Well-
Highland Park.
And you don't just offer your opinion.
It's scary. Now here's the FBI statement. The statement says it was released to the Post, the newspaper. The FBI and Justice Department vowed to continue to devote resources to address all cases and said they are, quote, committed to ensuring that affected defendants are notified of past errors and that justice is done in every instance, unquote. So the dead guys are going to get dug up? Is that how that's going to work? I just can't believe it. Every time you turn around, it's something new. On the federal level, every time you turn around, there's something new.
Yeah.
You always look at, I mean, the FBI had their own TV show, for crying out loud. They're supposed to be above reproach, and they're out there juking the numbers. That's
Yeah.
insanity. I mean, it's just truly, what is going on in this country? And it was systemic. It was ongoing. It's not like one guy.
Yeah, it was like 26 out of 28 of the guys.
We're going to be back with more On Target Radio and Insanity after we take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Obama's going after religious schools' nonprofit status. All that and more on Target Radio. We'll return, and you're listening to AM560 The Answer.
Stuck in traffic. We've got
See, I allowed an extra second on that one. We do have a call from a guy from Highland Park, which is probably
I already got his information, so he doesn't have to hang on after he's off.
okay. So that we're sending him tickets, right? Yeah.
He said he only needs one. I was like, well, you sound lonely. You maybe use the ticket to get a date. He goes, that's a good idea.
Oh, great. Yeah. Should I even
He's
put
from
him on?
Highland Park, and his question was just, is there any appeal? So you might be able to answer his question pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If it's a straightforward thing.
Well, we already said.
Well, yeah, he obviously wasn't listening. He was busy formulating what he was going to say.
He was busy timing his call perfectly to make sure he was the second one.
Yeah.
Even though the first one came before you announced the contest.
It's really tough to
Really
do
should.
that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why didn't you just do college ones?
Well, I would just say we're giving away a pair of tickets right now. Who wants them? First come, first serve. And if there's two pairs, then it'll be the first two people. If there's three
I could
pairs,
do
it'll be the
that.
first three people. Or you do it once in the beginning of the show, let somebody win it. Do it once in the second half of the show, let somebody win it.
I really
Everybody
want
calls
to
the
say
last segment
this
anyway.
goes to caller number 15. You know, this is for caller number 36.
Well,
And then explain to them
and
what a
it doesn't
large crew
really-
we have screening calls
I was
when the
gonna
first
say,
person wins.
it
How'd you get
doesn't
36
really-
in already?
Yeah,
Don't worry
it
about
doesn't
it.
really matter.
We're not deep, but we're very wide.
What's gonna happen if you say caller number 36? It's gonna go and it's gonna be like 5950, like a 1 minute after you're off the air, and the phone is gonna light up. They've timed it out. It's gonna take approximately 20 seconds to
Answer every call. Mathematically, that puts it at.
Where are we? 45. Oh, hell, it's 44. Coming up on 44. We got a minute 10. So Fred from Highland Park wants to know if there's some sort of appeal for the HP case. Okay.
GTR Sporting Club. GTR is a state-of-the-art, well-lit shooting range, a well-stocked firearm
Bum, bum,
and
bum, bum,
accessories,
bum, bum.
and plus a full range of training classes for the novice to the experienced shooter. Here's the amazing thing.
You're listening to On Target
Whoa.
Radio on AM560 The Answer.
I didn't do anything. I haven't touched it.
touch something on the touch screen. It fired.
I didn't. Oh, you know, my board is against it. Maybe that did it. It did. No,
I'm starting off the next segment with applause for you.
thanks a lot.
destination.
Okay.
15 seconds.
Located in Waukegan between Route 41 and Green Bay Road, just 2
Okay.
miles east of I-94. Visit gtrsport.com or call 847
Having fun?
Oh, yeah. This is actually really cool.
782-8888.
Here we go.
Listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
Thank you so much, George. I truly appreciate that. You know, it's nice to have an engineer that you make a little mistake and you try and cover it up, and they
let it slide. They cover it up for you.
it's all right. We know where you live, George. We have Fred from Highland Park on the line. Fred's got a question about Freeman versus Highland Park. Fred, what's the question? Well, I talked to the folks at ISRA, and I mean, what they told me is they're considering the options now, so there's nothing cast in stone yet. I mean, the options are to ask for an en banc hearing, which is all of the justices, or to ask to be heard by the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, or to throw in the towel. And I mean, I don't know if they're strategizing what the best thing is to do now. No, we sure
Not
don't.
final.
And it's and as I said this to Gretchen earlier, we expected that we were going to lose, but when I thought about it, they would take some point of law and twist it, and
We thought they would have some actual reason.
right, they would sort of twist it around in a manner that it was conducive to what they wanted as a finding. This they just pulled out of their what. It just makes no sense at all. This is like pure freaking magic is what it is. Oh, well, let's just, pull this stuff
We'll just
out.
dream something up.
Yeah. So, and if you think about it, the implication of that's pretty severe, because if that's what people can do going forward, they could say, well, it'll make people feel good, the heck with the Constitution. So I'm sorry you live in Highland Park, Fred. You couldn't get me to live there for all the tea in China.
It's too bad too, because it's a really cute town. I've been
It
there.
is. It is.
It's really cute.
It's really cute, except for the fact we can't. Anyway.
Except they hate guns.
There you go. Yep.
Sure.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It would make handguns that are commonly owned, that both of us have, illegal.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting thing, and I want to make sure I bring up in this segment. You're listening to On Target Radio, and this is AM560 The Answer. Obama administration is now talking about going after religious schools' nonprofit status. Here's literally what has come out. This is one of the more startling oral arguments at the Supreme Court was the willingness of the Obama administration Solicitor General Donald Verrilli to admit that religious schools that affirm marriage as the union of a man and a woman may lose their nonprofit tax-exempt status if marriage is redefined.
Yeah, one of the justices asked him about that specifically. Would these schools lose their nonprofit tax status? And he goes, "It's certainly going to be an issue. I don't deny that."
I don't even understand how that could be an issue.
I don't either. It's this is from the oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name of the foundation.
Heritage?
Yeah, Heritage Foundation. Citizens and organizations that continue to believe the truth about marriage should not be penalized by the government.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't care what you think about marriage. I don't care what you think about anything. What I care about is the fact that your ability to want to live your life the way you want to live it should be ruled by the government.
Right.
Just because of what your moral principles are.
Right. They basically want to amend or take away the First Amendment.
Right.
So that so that other people can feel good, as you pointed out before. It's all feel good.
It all seems to go hand in hand.
Mhm.
I mean, this is like becoming a recurring theme,
Yeah.
which if someone were a conspiracy theorist might see more to this than is really there.
Yes. I don't think I'm actually a conspiracy theorist, but I definitely see a grand scheme to a lot of these things. Even Scalia said that, you know, right now marriage is regulated by the various states. And he says if you let the states do it, you can make an exception. You can't
Exactly.
do that if you basically say this is what the Constitution,
Then there's no escape.
you know, this is what would be constitutional, then everybody has to do it the same way, and there's no wiggle room. And you know, I really have two words for this: 10th Amendment. You know, this is left to the states, and appropriately so, because if you don't like the definition or the rules of marriage in the state that you live in, you can go live in another state where
Exactly.
it makes you happier.
Exactly.
And if they make it national, then we're going to have no options.
The one ray of sunshine in litigation filed in 2013 by conservative organizations that were targeted by learning, remember at the IRS, a federal judge granted a motion to compel and ordered the IRS to produce the names of the 298 targeted organizations identified by the IRS for the Treasury Inspector General. So that's one little ray of sunshine that came out of the legal system. They're going to hold their feet to the fire for a change. So that's nice to know, I think, anyway.
Absolutely.
And we'll find out who they were. And
they're gonna what they're trying to do is there were 10 complainants, and what they want to do is try to get more complainants so they can do a class action.
Exactly. All right, we're going to have to go to break here. We'll come back and wrap the whole thing up. It's been a crazy night. I don't know. It's all these weird laws. But anyway, you're listening to On Target Radio, and this is AM560 The Answer. We do have a caller number 4, Jade. But you got a fair amount, right?
Yeah.
I told Jay I would try to get him on, but you might not be able to. But he's getting tickets, so don't feel horrible if you don't get to him. Just maybe mention.
How much have you got, you think?
2.5 minutes.
2 points. We don't have anybody to promo anything. We
He
can
can
tell
promote
him.
himself. Promote that beard. Look at that fucking beard.
This is trimmed up and defined. A couple months ago, it was bigger.
I know. They can tell you I was like Duck Dynasty 2 weeks ago.
I had hair down to my shoulders too.
And that was just coming out of his nose.
Ah.
That's still the case. I started playing. You know, I just sit there and go while I'm watching YouTube in my garage.
You go,
I swear it's YouTube. But yeah, so if you don't go to him, just maybe bring up what he's saying, because he did a very interesting point, and I saw this thing before, but it was a report that said that out of 150, they self-investigated 150 FBI shootings and found 0 bad shootings going back, and these were the most suspicious ones, the cold case one. Yeah.
So tell him,
Tell
him we'll take him on for like.
I told him it was going to be like 10 to 15 seconds
Okay.
if he did get on,
Okay.
so he's ready to go.
We'll bring him on first. Is that all right? And then we'll put you in. Well, wait. No, he may talk us into oblivion.
You just have to cut them off. You just have to put them on hold.
I'll put you on first. Better.
She also congratulated him on winning the tickets.
Yeah, I'm going to put her on first, and then we'll do him.
Okay, here we go.
15 seconds.
15 seconds to lift off.
That's 1-800-700-9814. You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect.
And we're back from On Target Radio. We're going to talk to Jade, who's our 4th caller, in a minute. But first, the highlight of the week, as always, what you can be doing with your time.
This year's Clyde Howell NRA Youth Shooting Sports Camp camp will be June 26th to 28th at the ISRA range in Bonnfield. The camp is for young people ages 10 to 16. The fee is just $150, which includes all meals and ammunition. To sign your child up for the Clyde Hull NRA Youth Shooting Sports Camp, go to saferusansp.org and click on Clyde Hull or use the link on our Facebook page. Please contact your Illinois State Senator to let them know you oppose SB 1564. This bill would undermine the conscience protections of all healthcare providers in the state, including pregnancy resource centers. SB 1564 chips away at conscience protections for healthcare providers which have been protected by Illinois law for nearly 20 years. Contact your Illinois Senator right away and encourage them to oppose SB 1564. Illinois Senate Bill 1858 is scheduled for its third reading soon. SB 1858, an ivory ban bill, would ban articles such as jewelry, musical instruments less than 40 years old, guns and knives less than 100 years old, and other items that are inlaid with ivory. While you could pass family heirlooms to legal beneficiaries, you could not sell your personal property. It includes severe penalties and fines for persons found guilty of selling ivory, ivory products, rhinoceros horns, and similar items. Furthermore, this bill authorizes the IDNR to confiscate these items and destroy them at their discretion. Call your Illinois Senator today and tell them you oppose SB 1858. To find your senator's contact information, go to www.ilga.gov. The weather is heating up and so is the class schedule. The following Safe for USA classes are all at our office in Waterman. Saturday, May 9th, NRA Basic Shotgun taught by Pat Donaldson. Saturday and Sunday, May 9th and 10th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. Saturday, May 16th, Long Range Rifle taught by Ed Janka. Saturday, May 16th, Tactical Pistol 1 and 2 taught by David. Saturday, May 16th, Illinois Concealed Carry 2 for those who have an exemption for the first 8 hours taught by Gretchen. Sunday, May 17th, NRA Basic Pistol taught by David. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
Thank you. And Jay, you got about 15 seconds. How you doing? Congratulations on getting the Concealed Carry Expo tickets. See, I told you you could trust him. There you go. Well, I agree. All right, thanks for calling. I appreciate it, Jay, and I hope you enjoy the Concealed Carry Expo. It should be a good time. What did you think? I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, we had him on the show 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, yeah. It sounded pretty good. Gotta say thanks, right? Gotta say thanks to Brian coming in,
Joining us.
the new kid.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll get you to speak maybe next week. You can actually talk. Anyway, thank you for listening to Tiger Radio. Be sure to listen next week. We'll be covering the red meat issues that affect your life.
We'd also like to thank Ed Ronkowski, George Hoffman on the board, our new intern, Brian Schmaltz, and our sponsors, the Concealed Carry Expo, DS Arms, Gaylord's Fine Indian Cuisine, Illinois State Rifle Association, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, Stone City Kitchen and Bath Design Center, and Safer USA.
And always, thank you, Michael, for making it all happen.
Congratulations.
That's another one.
Cool.
Terry from Texas and Angela from Detroit. They're just a few of our radio listeners who can now enjoy free
Let me
tickets.
stop
I want
recording.
the Beard's email.
Go ahead and stop.